Welcome to the PLZ Soccer Football Podcast. I'm Peter Martin. Delighted you could join us for this week's episode. Alan Rough and Darren Jackson are with me, and our special guest is Tommy Johnson. It's friends reunited. It's the only way I can describe it. Darren Jackson with his old mucker. Roughie, did you know Tommy at all in any capacity?
No, not at all. I don't think we ever met, apart from today. No, not through any of the previous life.
Yeah, World Cups at all? Would you have seen Tommy there as a fan, maybe?
Don't know. No, I wouldn't have been at the three I'd been at, I don't think.
No, absolutely. They were,
or the one I was at.
Yeah, it wasn't that one either. Yeah. Did you know that he'd been to a World Cup?
Oh, no. Kept that quiet.
You two met obviously on the day that you signed for Celtic, Darren. From your own point of view, I can remember, people talking about, Tommy Johnson's being signed, and they kept showing your goals at Aston Villa, and you were coming with great hype around you. What was your recollection of joining Celtic?
Unbelievable, Peter, to be honest. I think about 3 weeks before I was supposed to be one of the Rangers, and that fell through. And
hold on a minute,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
is that right? You were supposed to be going to Rangers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tell me about
it's
that.
Only
what
come
happened?
out the last couple of years. I thought I'd keep it quiet until I'd properly retired. So yeah, and then it fell through for whatever reasons. I didn't actually come up and speak, but and then when Celtic came in, spoke to Tommy Burns, came up and just sat talking with him for about 3 or 4 hours about football and how he wanted to play. Obviously I knew about the history of the club and all that, and couldn't wait to get up. I think there was a lot going on at the time with the transfer fee. They couldn't agree it or whatever, so I was sat down at home in Nottingham about 3 or 4 days just twiddling my thumbs thinking what's going on, and then eventually got it done. So.
And what about your agent? I mean, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before it, did he say, look, Rangers are interested, they want to talk to you, but you obviously didn't get a chance to go up?
Yeah, my agent said, says Rangers are interested, I'm speaking to them and all that, and then, as I said, nothing happened, so it was one of them. Okay then.
And when you think about it, Tommy, you could have been best friends with Barry Ferguson instead of Darren Jackson. I mean, your life could have been transformed.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. Fergie's top man.
Yeah.
He is.
What's your memories, Darren?
Well, my first memory was playing for Hibs against Celtic at Easter Road, and he went in for a challenge with Chris Jackson, and he was naughty, and me being the big hard man went over to sort it out and just try to put him in his place. And so we had a kind of square up and all that. And then first day I signed for Celtic, Tommy was I was out in the track doing a bit of running. It was pre-season, and Tommy was the first player to come out and congratulate me, and it's just been best friends ever since.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the strange thing is, what's your perception of him? We have a perception, don't we, Roughie? I mean, every club. He's the only guy I know that joined every club, and all the fans of the clubs he signed for didn't like him.
Yeah, I mean, he says that himself. He just one of these guys at 100%. And if there's any things he doesn't agree with, you obviously. You make your point, and when you're in a team, you've got a teammate like that. It's good if you're the quiet one and you've got somebody like him sticking up for you.
Yeah. What was your perception of him? Well, obviously, you shake hands on the day he signed, but
when he was a young and he played for Newcastle, so that was it for me. To be fair, and he says he's best mates with Gaza.
I was a hero
and all that.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a Newcastle fan.
How many years are between you two?
What do you think?
It's.
I think you're 3 years older.
Yeah. Are you 3 years older?
He's 33 years older than me, Peter.
You're a big Newcastle fan. Who was your heroes at Newcastle?
Chris Waddle. Keegan, Waddle, Beardsley, unbelievable, Gaza.
Yeah. What was it like down there to be a fan at a time? What was that area like when you have someone like Kevin Keegan that comes in and galvanises the whole area?
Because you just, exactly, we're in the old Championship as it was. Arthur Cox was manager who signed me when I went to Derby, and then you just back at the local paper, the Evening Chronicle, we signed Keegan. It was unbelievable. Just revitalised the whole area.
Did the football change much?
Well, we got promoted in the first game. There was a full house there and everyone was there. I think it was against QPR, and I was there. Yeah. And it's fantastic. And I said I left home a couple of years later to go and play myself, but just watching them and local lads and all that, on Jacko as well.
Yeah.
Michael O'Neill was there,
Did you have a chance to sign for
Yeah,
Newcastle?
I could have went there as an apprentice.
How on earth did you not stick it out?
I went to Notts County, and it was just a smaller club in the old, third division it was, so League One as it is now. Just went down during the holidays. They wanted us to sign us. I just loved going down. Even on work experience, I went down and just felt if I had a better chance at a lower club. And it was get away from Newcastle. Not that I hated Newcastle, I just thought if I get away, I don't like it, I can always go back home. And that was my probably, I don't know, at 16 thinking that way. I don't know, was it mad or what? But I wouldn't have changed it. I still.
And you were 16 at the time, so you're from Newcastle. Did you leave your wife behind then and say to her that you had? I'm going to leave you with the kids.
What was his second wife?
It was his second wife.
Yeah, I did. I just left him all.
I haven't got a long enough podcast for your marriages. Roughie, I mean, he mentioned one name there that I absolutely adore as a player, which was, Keegan was great. I'm a Dalglish fan, so when Keegan left Liverpool, and I was listening to all the English journalists mention, never be able to replace Keegan, and I thought, is that right? Kenny comes down, he's a king within one game. But Chris Waddle.
Yeah, they're fantastic players in, and obviously I was never down in England like these guys. But we all talk about Rangers and Celtic supporters, but I always see the Newcastle supporters as up there. The same passion, same,
it's ridiculous,
compared to, and with the success that like the Man Uniteds and the Arsenals and all that have, I still have the Newcastle fans up there as the best.
So it's 52,000, and they're not allowed to develop the stand opposite the main stand. For restrictions and all that.
That used to be the main stand.
They could have 70,000 every week, no bother.
Yeah, is it? The pressure. I cannot believe that City and that team haven't won anything. I think I go back to
Keegan was in charge.
Apart from Keegan, obviously, and. My only thing that I think about with Keegan in that era when he was the manager there is, why did you sign Tino Asprilla? you totally lost the balance of the side. But he disputes that and said no, he was
magnificent.
He was great as well.
Just totally different when he Tino and done what he want. But you always go back to that season, wasn't it, when we're so far ahead of Man United and they ran on the telly with Kevin Keegan. But so much more that he done.
You talk about Tino. I played with Mirandinha.
Yeah,
when he came. It was incredible when, he had scored at Wembley, I think, for Brazil, and they signed him. The place just went mental.
Yeah.
It was Brazil's number 9.
I think that's where they got the Julio Gordio, wasn't it? From Mirandinha when he signed.
And I can remember one game, like you need 2 balls. You need a ball for Mirror and a ball for Gaza. And Gaza went on a run. And he passed it to Mirror and could have played him back in, and Mirror's gone and had a shot, and Gaza shouted at him, and Gaza's raging, running back the pitch, and he turned round for the goalkeeper to kick it out, and he turned around, Mirror was standing there, and Mirror just gave him a big slap right across the face as he had shouted at. It was unbelievable. During the game it was incredible, but the two of them were just two of them were out the same mould, just really passionate, and he was a good player, Mirandinha.
Yeah. Who's your top 5 Newcastle players of all time, Tony? You're best placed than anybody.
Bottom 5, say,
yeah.
Peter.
Well, bottom 5 is obvious.
Is that cough getting better or what?
Yeah, absolutely.
Waddle, Gaza, Beardsley. Tell you I used to like John Anderson, right back.
Oh, yeah.
Back there, Irish. Yeah.
Is he in your top 5?
And Shearer.
And Shearer. You got to pick Shearer. He's
Les Ferdinand as well. God, they won't.
Yeah, we're 6 now. Yeah,
I can't count from Newcastle.
6 players, not bad, Roughie.
The other day there I was looking at, there was something that was actually on Instagram, and it was a Newcastle team, and it was Shearer, Ferdinand and Beardsley. That was the front line.
Yeah, and they still didn't win it. I know.
Incredible.
It was absolutely. And I even liked it when Ginola was there. I thought Ginola was a fabulous player as well. From your point of view, you must have. How do you look back on your career? Is it always linked back to the Celtic days, or is there other things moments that you enjoyed elsewhere?
Well, starting in Notts, we won playoffs twice to get into the Premier League as it now, and then the first games, Man United away against Brian Robson, went same school as. Well, I'm a lot younger than him, but from the same area and all that. So winning 2 playoffs at Notts, then moving to Derby, unfortunately losing the playoff final, then going to Villa. It was like, no disrespect to the clubs, it was like a step up, and then from Villa we won the cup, finished 4th and 5th in the league, played in Europe, and then getting the move to Celtic. But
who was the best player at Villa that you played
Paul
with?
McGrath.
You know, it's amazing you saying that, because I was with Gordon Strachan the other day there, and he said to me, I said, who was the best player you ever played with? And he automatically said Robson. He said he couldn't believe him. And I said, a guy that could burn the candle at both ends. And he went, he was unbelievable. He trained, and you would never have known he was out in the lash the night before.
We never trained at Villa. He just used to go on the push bike, and then on Friday we'd have a little 5-a-side and then a few set pieces, and that would be him. And for someone who had 2 dodgy knees, his reading of the game was unbelievable. The quietest man in the world, just sitting in the dressing room, but such humble and, you know, great fella. Would he have been as good if his knees were all right? Who knows?
Well,
you know?
I mean, you talk about his knees had gone. He played at the World Cup. I mean, he was just in cruise control.
You played at the World Cup, aye?
Yeah.
I don't like mentioning it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, McGrath, great player.
The stories of McGrath and the Irish boys when they used to meet up with the national side was legendary. You know, they'd meet up on a Sunday night and they just wouldn't go on the plane.
Yeah.
You know, the plane would just leave and they'd all be left all over the place. And they'd turn up.
Yeah, which is if Roughie says that an international side stories are legendary, that is good coming from a man whose team worked out how to get a step ladder out of the 3rd floor of a hotel just to get out.
Yeah, but
I love that.
I mean, Graham and Kenny would never have done anything the Irish boys were up to. Never. But you know, like we all had times when you go off the rails, but the Irish stories are legendary. Other than they met up and everything, it was just incredible.
Yeah, what were the stories, Roughie? Just keep them to yourself.
When they used to meet up, in the airport to fly out. They were all told to report, and they would go for a bevy, obviously somewhere, and they would never get on the plane. they would just leave. They would just leave. There'd be 8 of them just hanging about the airport where the rest had left.
Tell Tommy your story about the time you and Strachan, you were on the plane with the Northern Irish boys and you couldn't get to the bar. This is a great story.
We were coming back for what World Cup was it? I can't remember. We were coming back for a World Cup, and the Northern Ireland boys were sharing the same plane as we were down the front. They were up the back, and obviously it was the end of the season. Everybody was bevied, and there was groups going up to the bar. There was a bar halfway down the plane. So we're all taking turns hanging up, and Gordon was in my group, and it was our turn to go up to the bars. But when we got up to the bar, all the Irish boys were knee deep. You know, McCreary, McElroy, they're all just
Jimmy Nicholl.
And Gordon says, we're never going to get there. He says, we'll have to wait until they go away. And I said, no, I'll sort that out. So I did the wee tannoy thing that the stewardess grabbed me in. This is Captain Jones here. Anybody who hasn't been at 3 World Cups, could you please return to your seats? The Irish was like, oh, how many of you got? I've only got one. The bar just emptied. He strolled right up.
That wasn't as funny as I first thought. But nevertheless, you joined Celtic. What was your impressions of it? What was said to you? Obviously you mentioned Tam, the amount of people who were totally impressed with him. I mean, he painted this image of a club. You'd think you were joining Real Madrid.
Unbelievable. Obviously you know about the history and all that, and you're coming up and flying up just so excited. My agent and the powers of be at Celtic were in, I think they were in the Hilton in town, and then I just went to the ground, sat with a gaffer in the first team dressing room where we used to get changed. I know it's all changed now. And we were just talking football, and I wanted to come anyway, but as soon as you sat down with Tommy, that was it. You know, get me out on the pitch, I want to play and all that. And it was sad because he left about 3 weeks after I'd signed. You know, there was a turmoil with Fergus and all that, and you think you've just made the biggest decision of your life coming up and all that. And then the man who signed you is left. It's a nightmare. But he was absolutely class training. organisation, tactically wise, you know, he was so passionate.
Yeah. Did you feel as if it affected your time settling in there?
No, not at all. I was 27 at the time, so I'd had probably settled in worse at other clubs, being a lot younger. I think as you get more experienced, you know, it was something I wanted. I was just so excited. But then you think, yeah, new manager may come in and not like it, which was the case.
Yeah. What did he?
He signed me and he didn't like me either.
What did he say to you?
Them? Nothing. He didn't have to. He just never played us. So must have been. I played the pre-season. We were all right, and then we played Hibs the first game, wasn't it? When Chick Charlie scored and we got beat 2-1. Then I had a hernia, and then after that, do you have your brain up then?
Just not long after that.
Yeah. Aye, and then we had a bit of rehab together, and then so after say 2 or 3 reserve games, you think, well, I'm fit now, you know what I mean? And then Jack Owood got back into the squad and all that, and I hadn't, and I was like, hello, I am here, you know, I can play.
Did you get a medal?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, you must have played enough games to get a medal, though.
No, I don't think so. Well, you didn't have to play them many up here to get a medal, I don't think.
Was it 11? 12?
12. I've definitely got a medal.
Yeah? Well, you must have played in 12. You must have come on as sub and things like that.
No, I don't think I did.
Did you not?
Not that season.
Yeah.
I got the hernia, and then I come back, and then from about September to February was in the bomb squad.
Yeah.
And then it was just before the cup final, and there was lots of suspensions and injuries apparently, and I was sub. And then I come on a sub, and that's when I snapped my knee.
That was Dundee United.
It was at home. I know it was end of February. I know that, but
was it the game before the cup final?
It was near the cup final.
We played Dundee United just before the cup final. We beat Dundee United.
Yeah,
in the League Cup, and it could have been that game.
Was it?
Because he left a few out for the final, obviously.
When the Jacko was obviously getting, lots of people, thinking he was a goner. Were you thinking that as well? With the brain op and things like that? I know you were obviously as startled as us that he had a brain.
No, but, just thinking I might get a shout here if he's not playing.
if he's out.
When I was lying in my bed in the hospital, him, Stubbsy, Jackie, Simon came in, and I'm lying in my bed. I've got tube coming out my head, tube out my nose, and so they're talking away and all that. And the next minute, obviously it was 97, didn't have plasmas and all that. There was a telly with a video up in the wall, and so they're just going out and they put a porno in the the video and put it on and said, right, we'll see you later on. So the nurses all came in, and there was a porno on.
We done that to Stubbsy as well when after he'd had his operation for cancer.
Yeah,
we were playing away and we were all in our tracksuits, so we're going to see him. Is it Ross Hall?
Yeah,
is that right? So we went in Ross Hall and we've done I don't know. Well, it wasn't my porno, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So the nurse had called Stubbsy out and says, Alan, can you come? We need to check something and all that. So we thought, right, here we go, lads. This is the time here. Stuck it in, full blast. Everyone's running in, all the nurses, and we'd already got out.
Which reminds me of
anything else, Alan?
Yeah, I
think he was in it.
I didn't need it. I didn't need an injury to play it, to tell you the truth.
It was the world's worst. The world's worst for that was Murdo. Murdo used to actually go in the when you were on the commentary for any of the European games. Murdo would say, I'll come up to your room because we're all going out for dinner, and you'd be in the toilet just getting yourself ready, and Murdo would order it on the so that you knew you were going down to the reception the next day and you had to pay for it. Honestly, it wasn't me. Debbie does Dallas too. Anyway, apart from that, you mentioned there that you weren't flavour of the month with Vim. Barnsley,
who
wasn't much.
Digger Barnes. Are we on about Dallas now and all that?
Wasn't much better.
It must be just me, Peter. Yeah. I don't know. Kenny had been brought in, and I think there was sporting director, was it something like that?
Yeah.
Football director, and brought John Barnes in. Obviously, what a player. You know what I mean? There was no managerial experience. Came in.
He gets slaughtered for his formations.
Well,
I can remember it because I was
the first game was all right, wasn't it? We won 6-0 at Aberdeen, and Lubo played, and Ail Berkovic played, and the one from that game was we were coming back on the bus, and Craig Burley was supposed to be I think Burles had been injured, but he was sub or something, and Digger had said he was going to bring him on or something, and he didn't. So I lived next door to Burles, so we used to travel in together. So he says, I'm seeing him when we get back to the ground. God, he would
this
go.
Is so Craig Burley.
I know, I was like, oh, Butler, man, just leave it. You know what I mean? It's first game and all. No, I'm having him, because apparently Burles has got a short temper, hasn't he?
Oh. Yeah.
So we got back to the ground and in the office at the front where it was, right next to reception. So we're sat outside with it in the car waiting, me, Stubbsy, I think probably Johan, whoever, Gouldy, waiting for him to finish. And I've never heard anyone give a manager a tirade in all my life, because he hadn't put him on. So we were just sat in the car waiting. He says, that went well, didn't it, Butler? You know what I mean? And he says, well, I just had to let him know how I feel. And I think that relationship went a bit belly up.
Oh yeah, he was definitely heading out the door. I can remember that whole period as well.
The last game, obviously, for Digger was the Inverness debacle.
Yeah.
You know,
did you play in that?
No, I was sat at home watching Jeff Stelling. So we played on the Saturday against Hearts. I think you played and I pushed you and give a penalty away.
That's right, yeah. Yep.
So I'd come on, I'd been to Everton and come back. And then on the Saturday, I was sub. He'd put a sub for some reason. Don't know why. And then I come on a sub and I pushed Jacko. I think he put us on midfield. Which just sums him up.
Very, very unusual.
Yeah. Pushed Jacko. We got beat 3-2 and that was it. And then on the Wednesday we were playing in Inverness. I was in the squad but then wasn't sub, so I just went home. Drove home, watched Jeff Stelling, and then obviously what happened that night with Inverness winning, and then next morning we're in the green room. And so we're all in there. We've heard he's got the sack, and you know, some of us are doing cartwheels and all that, thank God. And he just come round all the players. Stubbsy, thanks for your services and all that, you and all the lads, and then come to me and he just went, I thought you would have been gone before me.
Is that what he said to you?
And everyone was sat there, and I can't swear, can I?
Yeah.
I says,
yeah.
No. So why don't you off? I says, I'm just going upstairs now to sign my new contract. Go on. And that was... So we didn't have a very good relationship. But I only played, I'd done all pre-season. We went to Norway, I think it was. And pre-season we were all right, you know, obviously we'd all go out at the right times and all that. And we were in there.
That's any time.
Yeah. Isn't it brilliant how Tommy tries to do the cover story first, doesn't he?
Pre-season we were I used to train all summer and, you know, come back pre-season we were flying. Went, I think it was Norway or Denmark or whatever. So the food in the hotel wasn't the best. So me, Burley, Stubbsy, Johan, whoever, he says, come, Gouldy, come. I said, all right, if we go out for some food in the restaurant, you know, it's not... And he went, yeah, no problem. So we went into town, like, weren't drinking, we're just having food and having the crack and all that. And the gaffer comes in with Eric and a few of the staff, comes over and stood next to me, says, you all right? I was just fine. I says, we're just having some dinner, you know what I mean? And I didn't get it, but he just turned around and says, I'm thirsty, can I have a drink? I went, hey, there, go on. What he was doing is obviously testing to see if I was drinking. And Burley went, see what he's done now? I went, he's just testing to see if he's thirsty, he wants a drink. He went, you idiot. He says he's testing it to see if we don't. But the moment is gone, otherwise I would have went mental.
Yeah.
And then from that moment onwards, it was I just didn't respect him.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, you check. I said it's pre-season. We didn't. Yeah, I think everybody knows what we were like when we were playing. You know what I mean? We worked hard, but we played hard as well.
Yeah, there's a time to party, isn't there?
Time, and we did.
Yeah,
we all did.
But I always remember Walter Smith saying that, Roughie, about Rangers. You know, people talking about the fact that they thought they were all out on the bevy, but Walter said to me, you know, you don't win titles, you don't win cups by constantly being out in the bevy. There's a time they worked hard, they trained hard, and then when they won, that was the time to party hard.
Yeah, there was a bonding between them because there was a lot of foreign players there, you know, and obviously the British boys used to take them out just as a bonding exercise. That they not that it would fill them with drink or anything, but they would just go out and all chat about the game, and it's always a good thing. But the perception of they were away like 3 nights before a game and things like that were totally wrong. It was away for football altogether.
Yeah. Well, you're laughing.
at?
What particular game were you out 3 nights before it?
Peter, there's no doubt they had sensational players.
Yeah.
Rangers at that time, but they partied at the right times.
Yeah.
A bond that was incredible, and I think the year, obviously they were going for 10.
Yeah. It
just swapped over, and we had that bond, and they signed. And I'm not having a go at the boys. They signed the Italians and the foreign boys and all that, and they just lost that. And we just had it. It clicked right away, and the foreign boys came in, and they just realised they got in with the British boys. This is how you do it over here. We worked really hard, but we went out on a Saturday night and we had a good time, and we had an incredible bond. But listen, good players win your league, but when you have a bond like that, it helps, because on a Saturday if things aren't going too well for you, your mate's behind you and your mate's going to back you up. But I mean, it was an incredible team spirit we had.
Yeah,
incredible.
And then Martin comes in for you, Tommy. He must have been like a breath of fresh air.
Well, before, I don't know who left. Was it Joseph? And then Kenny came back, and then Tommy came back, and then Rangers had won the league. We won the League Cup, played, scored and all that, and then had a run of games, and you think, oh, that's great, back on track, because you don't want to leave a failure, or being last as you came up and I'd played. Well, I hadn't hardly ever played.
Yeah.
I'd got back after me knee and everything was fine, and you think, come on, give us a chance. And then the gaffer, Tommy, I wanted Tommy to get the job again, because it would have been unbelievable.
Tommy. So did Tommy want to get it again.
But it just didn't happen. And then the gaffer came in, and it was a breath of fresh air again. Yeah. Unbelievable. And that season was fantastic.
Some of the guys tell me, you always come across a manager in your life that is able to, make you want to go that extra mile, make you want to put your head through a brick wall, if he said it.
Unbelievable. Man management. We played Dundee before we won the game on the Saturday against St Mirren to win the league on the Wednesday night, and we won 1-0 at half time. I'd scored in it, but I was having an absolute shock. It was bouncing off us, and I was making the wrong runs and all that. It comes in at half time, and it's just normal. I knew you'd say that. Why is he on this show?
A question we've often asked ourselves.
So Peter, the gaffer, used to be I used to walk in and you'd think, he's going to he'll have a go at someone.
Yeah.
And so I knew it was me, so he was hammering us and all that. You make the wrong runs, touch rubbish, you should have scored more. And then he just went, no, it doesn't matter, does it? And I went, why? He went, well, you've scored. Walks out the changing room. So he's had a dig at you, but then automatically make me feel 100%.
Yeah.
Comes in just before we're about to go out for the second half and says, right lads, go and win tonight, and then you can have the biggest party ever on Saturday, because we'll go and win the league on Saturday. And then Dundee scored, actually, and then Johan scored a header with about 5-6 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday won the league, and then that was it.
Yeah.
But he's the best man manager ever.
Tell me what it means to you to be always associated with that game, that goal.
Well, it's not the best goal I've ever scored in my life, apparently.
Well, but as probably Martin O'Neill would say, who cares you scored?
Yeah, it is. Whatever went on with the managers, with injuries and all that, and that's all people remember. Listen, I wasn't the best player in the world, but for working hard and attitude, I'd never have the skill of Henrik or Lubo or anything like that. But there's just something, so it's attitude and hard work.
Is there a particular story that sticks in your mind about that crew? Because the banter must have been sensational.
Unbelievable, because you had
a particular night or something that happened that sticks in your mind?
You can't say most of them, Peter.
Yeah, I know the most of them, because every time I interview that squad, they're all the same.
Jacko said, it was probably from when round that era as well, stopping 10 in a row and all that, and then carrying on, and then Rangers, fair play to them, came back, won a few titles, and then when the gaffer came in, it was unbelievable. He's just man management, and you've got to give a lot of credit to John Robertson and Steve Walford as well. you know, and we had he brought some great signings. He brought Lenny in, he brought Chris Sutton in, Alan Thompson. Big Use came in, and as Jacko said, players win you the league, but you've had it. The team spirit is, you know, it's unbelievable.
I said to Peter and Roughie that the other week there that Chris Sutton, Martin's best signing.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Up there. Definitely, yeah. And Lenny.
Yeah.
Lenny didn't. Tomo playing left wing back, who probably never played there in his life. You know, there was a mixture of. Lubo was still going at 35, 36, turning it on all the time.
Yeah, and by the way, he gave him pelters as well, because he said to me, I can remember at that time, because it was that period where I spent 4 years just arguing with Martin in press conferences, but he said to me, you know, tracking back is not on his agenda. I used to think to myself, if you're Lubomir Moravcik, who needs to track back?
Yeah, exactly. I just give him the ball and let him get on with it.
He was something else, was
Master.
he? Yeah.
Joseph Venglos, what a signing, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can remember the first day he came in. We went up to training, and Brian Scott, we came back from training and said, what's he like? I can remember the boys just going, wow.
Is that right?
Wow. Yeah. And then on the Saturday, I think we played Dundee on the Saturday. That was his debut, and Henrik scored a hat-trick. And he hit a pass with outside his foot right into Henrik's pass. And he was just had a good view. I was on the bench.
I was probably sat in the stand. I had even better view.
He was sensational.
Yeah, I can remember actually. I think I was hosting Roughie a Man United Celtic Legends dinner, and Rio Ferdinand was sitting in front of me, and he was sitting with a whole whack of Man United legends. And I can remember saying to Rio, I said, "Bet you think you're a player, eh?" I said, "I bet you think you're a player with all your Man United mates there." I says, "This mob have got a guy that traps the ball with his arse." I mean, he was outrageous.
Unbelievable. 2-footed. We didn't know if he was left-footed or right-footed. That was how good he was.
Yeah. A special player, and actually a really nice guy as well.
Sound, yeah.
He was top drawer. You had Eric Black as the coach then.
Yeah. One of the Eric was one of the best.
I was going to say
one of the
to
best
you,
coaches.
I've never met anybody had a bad word to say about Eric as a coach. I thought he was a wonderful player, Roughie, because he was in that Aberdeen side. He was unbelievable.
They were saying as a coach, you just look at all the clubs he went to as a coach, and every time the manager got sacked, they left him in charge.
Yeah.
What
was it about him, Tommy?
I think it helped him going abroad, playing abroad, you know, and he's probably got ideas there, but methodical, organised, knew what he wanted, knew what we wanted.
Manner, just the way he went about it and the way he spoke to you, and
never lost his rags, did he?
No,
he just
and the funny thing is, we had him on the show, and I mean, I just absolutely thought he was a brilliant player when I was a boy for Aberdeen. But when we had him on the show, I said to him, you know, everybody talks so highly of you. Why are you not getting back into coaching? And he said, my back's in agony. He always had a back problem, Roughie, didn't he?
Yeah, I remember we were stunned when he told us that, you know, because we were obviously going to ask him about how he's going to get back in the game, and that was the biggest thing. I've just gone back for a specialist. I've just been here, or just for the last 2 years. It just could hardly stand, really. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, we done a coach ed thing a couple of years. I was invited up with Malky Mackay, and a couple of years ago, Money and Eric was there.
Strikers.
And it was, and we were talking and all. How are you getting on? Do you want to get back into it? And he said exactly the same. He said my back is absolutely knackered. I can't stand there and do it. Like,
why didn't you get into management? You've done your coaching courses. Was it something that?
I was first team coach at Notts County, and then everything was all right. We got promotion, and then inevitably you get the sack.
Yeah. Did you not fancy the out-and-out manager?
I've never been asked, Peter, but I would never say never, but probably my time's over now. I love the scouting, you know. I've been doing it now for about 10 years. So,
have you always had a knack for spotting a player?
It's spotting a player or recommending players, and whether they sign them or not is...
Well, here's a question. I love the fact that you two pause all the time. I'm not sure if it's just for dramatic effect or the fact you're trying to get your brain in gear. But I've got to ask you this question then. If you were a scout, would you have signed yourself? When you think of the qualities that you had?
Depends which club I was at and all that, and how they were doing. We were talking about it on the way up in the car, because obviously I'm working at Blackpool now, and Jack was I'm his gaffer really, Peter, but I've heard him say it. Not today, but
everybody's his gaffer.
We were talking about it. As I said, we weren't the most technically, but we worked hard, and you've got an inner strength in you and an inner steel to make it.
Yeah.
And you would look at football now, a lot of technical players out there, aren't there? But have they got it in there?
Yeah.
That's the thing. And a bit different over here, because most of them have got it. Down the road, they're playing under 23 football against people the same age and all that. And it's tippy-tappy football, it's possession-based football and all that. Yeah, we know they're all technically very good, but have they got the mental side of it as well? When things are going against them, can they do something special, or will they get fired in and all that? So I look for attitude, and if the ball's up there, what they're doing when they haven't got the ball. It's all right when they've got the ball. We know what they can do, but it's other things like that you look at.
I've got 3 questions to finish with, and one of them sticks in my mind. Give me 3 players if you were. Obviously you're going to pick Jacko, so I'm going to let him be your additional player. Give me 3 players if you were going on a night out. You've had a right good win, and you're going to party hard. Give me 3 players
that I've been out with, or who I would want to go out with. You would
want to take with you. You know, you can have one that maybe you've experienced that you know is one of the troops. So Jacko's there because obviously you feel sorry for him and you've got to invite him.
He couldn't drink soup, Peter.
Yeah.
There used to be a trapdoor in the plant pot in the corner, which from about 8 o'clock and then 11 o'clock would be about 10 foot tall, so that's when I used to tip his pints. I'll tell you what, I met Coisty on holiday just after I'd signed for Celtic. I'd been away with my mates, Mrs. had been away with the mates, and then so we went to Sardinia and seen Coisty. With Alison, his ex, and the kids and all that, and I just wanted a nice quiet holiday. And then we were walking around 40 Village. There's no traffic there. I don't know what it's like now. It was just the village, wasn't it? So you're walking by, and I've looked up and seen Coisty, and I've gone, oh God. And Mrs. gone, what? I says, Ollie McCoist. Yeah. I says, I've never met him, but I've heard about him, you know what I mean? and that was it. And what a man. Legend, so funny, and that was the start of my downfall up in Scotland, I think, with Coisty. So I would go out with Coisty.
So Coisty's in. Day. That's one. Coisty, Jacko to drive you home. Other 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus. I don't think you're going right back now, aren't you?
Gaza. Just to have the the crack. You know what I mean?
So that's 2 you've picked as guaranteed.
2 Rangers lads. Who out of our mob was bonkers. Burley's class.
Yeah, yeah. Butler's good.
But and I live next door to him as well. So that was But Cheryl, his missus, could drink more than him,
Is
which
that
was
right?
like.
We must get Cheryl on the show, Roughie. He's in Connecticut now, you know that.
I
know.
He's showing us thing on the way up.
I stay in touch with him. He's a good lad. I've had a good few nights out with him as well.
Peter, what a player was he?
Burley.
Aye. He had everything for a midfielder. Box to box, could defend, could score goals, could tackle. He had absolutely everything.
And was even better when he had his teeth out.
Yes, absolutely.
Remember who put him in the jar? Was that you? We were out and someone had pinched his teeth when we were out and they slung him in a glass of...
Roughie, three guys?
My 3 would be obvious. I never really was in Jacko's era, but my 3 would be Wee Mo, Wee Morris, Maka, obviously.
You got to pick Maka, yep.
And for his time, for his time at Hibs, Bestie. Because you knew there'd be something left at the end of the night. You could probably move in on if you're with George.
Do you know, I'm actually amazed that you never picked Gordon McQueen.
Oh, Gordon's a 4-dayer. No, he goes away and doesn't come back for 4 days.
That is, you can't. He wasn't out past 10 o'clock. That is some 3.
That's a good 3, isn't it?
I've got to go with 2. I would go with Coisty and Gaza.
Yeah.
And Badger.
Oh yeah, Billy McKinley. Yeah, good. Yep. You mentioned lots of guys that I've been in contact
out with.
Yeah. Well, amazingly, as I mentioned to Darren a few weeks ago, I was out with Billy McKinley and Davy Moyes in San Sebastian, and Davy said, you must try the black squid, and I looked at Davy and I thought to myself, Davy, you're from Glasgow. When did your dad ever open the door and say, you've got to come in now, your black squid's ready? have a long hard look at yourself, son.
Just we're talking about Maka there, just a funny wee one with Maka. We were over in Trinidad and Tobago playing in one of the over 45s, and we were sitting at the bar with cocktails and everything. Maka's absolutely howling, just hanging out at the bar. And one of the staff came in and shouted, turtle on the beach. And Because everybody's running to the beach to see the turtle. Maka goes, how far is that nightclub?
That sums them up. Who would play you in a movie, Roughie?
Robert Redford.
Kevin Bacon, because he's ginger.
Kevin
Or
Bacon.
was.
Yeah.
Might not be now.
We hold on.
Like
to
me.
Hold on till we hear. Bonzo.
no.
Who
No,
would play
I-
you in a movie?
I don't know.
Oh, go on.
Come on.
George Clooney.
George and Mildred.
Would you make it? get your
George
Roper
Roper.
joking.
George Clooney. George Dawes. More like.
Oh, George Dawes. There's another one. I remember that.
was a good one.
Anyway, apart from that, I thoroughly enjoyed your company, Tommy, on this podcast. Thanks to Roughie, thanks to Darren Jackson, thanks to Tommy Johnson. You can download the podcast across all the usual platforms for the audio, and if you want to actually watch the programme and see the reaction of Jacko to every line that Tommy mentions, then you can do it on the podcast on the YouTube channel PLZ Soccer. But from Roughie, Jacko, Tommy and myself, Peter, thank you very much for joining us on the PLZ Soccer Football Podcast.